right, so you want to open a US bank account as a foreign non-resident and you do not have a US tax ID like an SSN or an ITIN. But your wish list doesn't end there. You also want to open that bank account from the comfort of your own home, which just happens to be outside of the United States. Well, I've got some good news for you. It's 100% possible. There's no reason to jump on a plane if you don't want to, as long as you can meet the account opening requirements and you can make a qualifying deposit. We'll talk about the specifics of that and the whole process of selecting a bank and then going through the account opening process in a little bit. But if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Chris and I'm the head of banking relationships here at GlobalBanks. We're a team of banking experts that decodes the international banking world and helps our clients overcome challenges in terms of cross-border banking and financial services. I spent all of my time talking to bankers around the world, solving problems for our clients and uncovering new opportunities so they can make the most out of their banking relationships. In these videos, I get to share the secrets that banks will not tell you, but they're happy to share with us so that you can start unlocking the benefits of international, or in this case, US banking, as soon as possible. Just to be clear, I am not going to be talking about fintech accounts, EMIs, payment platforms, or digital banks. Nothing like that. Instead, we're going to be talking about real brick and mortar banking options. Yes, digital options do exist in various forms in the US, and in certain instances, they should be part of your US banking stack. But this video is only about real brick and mortar banks. Now, there are a few key points I want you to remember. First, not all US banks require a tax ID. In fact, there's even US banks that don't require a US address, though most of them obviously do. The next point, and a lot of people get this wrong, is that opening US bank accounts remotely is 100% possible, even for foreign non-residents. Yes, there are a lot of talking heads out there that will tell you that's not possible, it's illegal. That's not true. It's totally legal, it's 100% possible, and we help our clients do it all the time. And lastly, if you do want to open personal accounts remotely, there is a deposit requirement you need to be prepared to meet. And that typically is going to be between $10,000 and $25,000 as an absolute minimum. Though depending on the bank, this can go up to $250,000, especially if you have a higher risk profile or you're looking to access premier banking services. For most people, meeting the deposit requirement is the biggest hurdle that they'll have to overcome, but there's still other variables that they will need to navigate. Now, I can't help you with your deposit, but I can help you navigate the other account opening variables. So let's kick those off by taking a look at who can actually qualify to open in the United States. Obviously, there are basic requirements, such as not being on a sanctions list, being from a blacklisted country, not being involved in certain high-risk sources of income, and not making high-risk transactions. But this is pretty standard regardless of whether you're trying to open in the United States, Monaco, Switzerland, Singapore, or any other banking jurisdiction around the world. If you can pass those basic tests, you can almost always find a US bank that will fit your profile. Though with over 4,000 commercial banks in the US, there's still a lot of searching and narrowing down to do. You can narrow down the list by targeting banks that meet your requirements and then asking whether they can accept foreigners and then whether they can accept foreign non-residents. Obviously, the answer you get can change depending on who you talk to at the bank, but it's possible to take this path. We break down all of the options for the clients of our US account opening service, GlobalBanks USA, which includes which banks cater to their profile, and then after they choose where they'd like to open, making direct introductions to the bank. And the good news is that in almost all instances, there are US banks that will open for individuals and companies from most countries around the world. So if you're looking for a faster solution, you can check out globalbanks.com/USA in order to learn more. Okay, but what if you don't want to pay for a service to help you open an account? No offense taken, we're here to assist you. So what can you do as a foreign non-resident and you want to move forward with opening an account without a tax ID? What's required and how do you actually do it? Well, the specific requirements will vary depending on the bank, but there are a few general requirements and two specific scenarios that you can prepare for ahead of time. Scenario 1 involves US banks that want to see a US address, a US phone number, and a US utility bill. Scenario 2 involves US banks that will let you open with a foreign address, a foreign phone number, and a foreign utility bill. If you don't have a US phone number, US address, or a US utility bill, then Scenario 2 banks are obviously going to be more interesting for you. That said, in both of these scenarios, you still need to provide two forms of government identification from outside the US, documents supporting your source of income and wealth, and the completed bank account application. And each bank has the option to ask you for additional documents as well, though this typically depends on the type of account being opened and your profile, which basically just boils down to how risky does the bank think that you are from a compliance perspective. So again, just to put like an underline under this, most non-residents who do not have a US SSN or an ITIN can open a bank account in the United States by meeting the requirements that I just outlined. Of course, you still need to meet the deposit requirements and navigate a few other account opening considerations, like whether you want to open in person or remotely, what the relationship balance can be over time, and then the type of bank that you actually want to open with, scenario 1 or scenario 2. Here's a quick pro tip for you. If you can manage to get on a plane and go to the United States, you will increase the number of banks that are available to you. It's not going to be easy, and those banks tend to be in scenario 1 and are going to require you to have a US address, US phone number, and US utility bill. So you'll need to be able to overcome those challenges in terms of the requirements to open the account. But the deposits are going to be significantly lower, typically in the range of $500 to $2,500 for an individual account. On the flip side, if you want to open remotely, you are going to have far fewer options to choose from, though those are going to be the scenario 2 banks, which means the requirements that you'll have to provide are going to be easier to come by since they can come from your foreign country. The deposit amount and the fees that you'll be expecting to pay in those scenario 2 banks that let you open remotely are also going to be higher. As I've already mentioned earlier in the video, $10,000 to $25,000 as an absolute minimum for the deposit, but if you can get up to $250,000, that gets you into a wider range of banking options, including larger banks and even some premier banking options. Though if you're not interested in premier banking, somewhere in the range of $25,000 to $100,000 will get you all of the available options for retail. Of course, these are just general numbers. Depending on your citizenship, your tax residency, your source of income, and whether the bank considers you to be higher risk from a compliance perspective, those deposit levels can increase pretty dramatically. Of course, if you are trying to open an account in the private banking world, well, you're going to be looking at significantly higher deposits, and that's not something we're going to be covering in this video. Now, if you can't deposit $10,000 to $25,000 in order to open a US bank account remotely, then you're going to need to look at either online options or digital options, though those definitely have restrictions in the United States, both in terms of country of residence and citizenship, but also in terms of personal accounts, as most of them don't offer those services. If you have a US LLC, that's a different story, and we're going to cover all of the US LLC banking options in another video soon. But if you're looking for other brick and mortar banking options, you may need to explore options outside of the US, or like I said, get on a plane, go to the United States in person, and start with a deposit in the range of $500 to $2,500. And you can navigate the process a little bit easier on the ground, though you will still need to meet those account opening requirements, which can get a bit tricky for foreign non-residents. In terms of the actual process for opening, you first need to choose a bank that matches your profile. And while this may seem obvious, choosing the wrong bank is the #1 mistake that we see people making in the United States. Choosing the right bank is especially important if you have a higher risk profile or you need to obtain authenticated documents or certified translations, because applying to a single bank account can cost up to $1,000. And if you get rejected by the first bank and then have to apply to multiple banks, those costs and additional fees can get very expensive very fast. So it's better to just choose the right bank the first time around. Once you know which bank you're going to apply to, you can then go ahead, prepare your account opening requirements, your supporting documents, and complete the account opening application. Then you'll be able to submit your application and start the onboarding and compliance review directly with the bank. That was a lot to take in, and instead of just sending you off on your own and wishing you luck, I've had the team include a link to our dedicated US banking report. It's in the pinned comment below. You can click the link and grab your copy now to start navigating this whole process on your own. This is an excellent resource for anyone that's looking to choose banks in the United States, navigate the account opening process, or find ways to overcome some of the common challenges and hurdles that foreign non-residents will definitely face when trying to open US accounts. And if you prefer to have your own team of banking experts help you navigate the account opening process in the United States, you should check out globalbanks.com/USA. But before you do, if you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to give us a like so that we know that we should keep making more videos like this in the future. And if you'd like to dig even deeper into the world of remote account opening, click up here and check out our video that details the 3 main strategies that we help our clients use when opening accounts from the comfort of their home, even when opening US bank accounts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.